She opened the door barefoot in a t-shirt and said, "We need to talk." Derek hadn't seen Rachel in 2 years, not since the night he left Los Angeles behind without so much as a goodbye. Now, standing on her porch with an overnight bag slung over his shoulder and the weight of unfinished conversations pressing against his chest, he wasn't expecting her to greet him like that. Not with fury. Not with relief. Just those 5 words, calmly spoken, her voice soft but firm, like she'd been rehearsing them in her head for months. She didn't step aside. Her eyes were darker than he remembered. Maybe it was the porch light, or maybe time had simply done what it always does, changed people. He looked her over briefly, not out of disrespect but because it was all surreal. Her bare feet on the wooden floor, the oversized grey t-shirt that hung loosely over her frame like a memory of better days. He remembered that shirt. It used to be his. A college football tee from junior year. "I didn't think you'd answer the door," he said. She glanced past him at his car, the only one on the street that late at night, engine still ticking from the long drive up from San Diego. "I almost didn't," she replied. Then, almost reluctantly, she stepped aside. "Come in. But only if you're ready to be honest." He walked in without hesitation. The house hadn't changed. Same pale yellow walls, same framed photo of the two of them from Joshua Tree hanging near the entryway. It was like walking into a chapter of a book he thought he'd closed, only to find the pages still waiting to be read. Rachel led him to the living room and sat down on the edge of the couch. She pulled her legs up underneath her and crossed her arms. The look she gave him was the same one she used to give during their late-night talks, back when they'd share cold pizza and talk about everything from politics to poetry. Derek dropped his bag beside the armchair and Saturday. Silence settled in between them like fog. He cleared his throat. "I know I should have called before coming. You should have done a lot of things," she said, not bitterly, just plainly. "But you're here. So talk." "I didn't leave because of you," he said quickly, like he'd been waiting to blurt it out for years. Rachel arched a brow. "Didn't you?" "No," he shook his head. "It was never about you. Or us. I mean, not directly." She didn't speak. Just waited. He took a deep breath. "My dad had a stroke. That week, the week I left, I got a call from the hospital. He was alone in Reno. I didn't know what else to do. So I packed up and drove straight there. I thought I'd be gone a few days, but then days turned to weeks. He couldn't walk, Ratch. He couldn't even speak." "You could have told me," she whispered. "I know," he said. "I was ashamed. Embarrassed, even. I didn't want you to see me falling apart. I didn't want you to feel obligated to wait. I thought I was doing the right thing." "You thought wrong," she said. Her eyes glistened, but no tears fell. "I know," he repeated. Rachel rubbed her hands together. "So what happened to him?" "He passed away last December." She blinked. "I'm sorry." Derek nodded, brushing a hand through his hair. "Thanks. I wanted to call you. So many times. But every time I picked up the phone, I remembered the way I left. The silence. The hurt. I figured you'd moved on. That you hated me." "I don't hate you," she said quietly. "I did, for a little while. I couldn't understand why you'd disappear like that. I thought I did something wrong." "No," he said, leaning forward. "You didn't. You were perfect. You always were." Rachel gave a small, bitter smile. "No one's perfect. But I loved you, Derek. I loved you enough to forgive anything. Except being abandoned." He winced. "I get that." For a long time, they just sat there, the hum of the fridge in the background, a car passing in the distance, and the soft creak of the wooden floor beneath her shifting weight. "Why now?" she asked finally. "Why show up tonight?" "I was in town for work," he said. "It's just a short contract, a digital media gig, but I couldn't come to LA and not see you. I needed closure. Or a second chance. Maybe both." Rachel stood and walked to the window. She pulled back the curtain just slightly, as if she expected someone to be standing out there in the night. "I almost got married last year," she said. Derek's stomach twisted. "What happened?" "He cheated. Twice." She let the curtain fall back in place. "Funny, right? I spent a year learning to trust again, only to be betrayed worse than before. I'm sorry, Derek said, and he meant it. I'm not, she replied. It showed me something. That I still carry love in my heart. Even after everything. She turned to face him, her expression unreadable. Do you think people get to fix what they broke? He stood up slowly. Sometimes. If they're lucky. If they're honest. If the other person's willing to let them. Rachel walked past him and toward the kitchen. He followed, cautiously, as if the floor between them might give out at any moment. She opened the fridge, pulled out a bottle of water, and handed it to him. Stay tonight, she said. His eyes widened. Not like that, she clarified, then smirked at his awkwardness. The guest room's still got your old sheets. I never got around to changing them. He took the water. You sure? I didn't say we were fine, she said. But it's late. And you drove a long way. We'll talk more in the morning. Thank you, he said. That night, Derek lay awake in the small bedroom, staring at the ceiling. It smelled like cedar and memories. He thought about everything he wanted to say, everything he didn't. Sleep eventually took him, but uneasily, like a tentative truce. In the morning, he awoke to the smell of coffee. He padded barefoot into the kitchen, where Rachel was already pouring 2 mugs. You still take it black? She asked. Yeah, he replied, touched that she remembered. They sat at the kitchen island, sipping in silence for a while. I don't know what happens next, she said. I don't either, he replied. But I'm not closing the door again, she added. He smiled. Then maybe we leave it open. Just a little. They went for a walk that afternoon, down the same trail they used to hike on Sundays. The sun filtered through the trees, casting golden patterns on the dirt path. They talked, really talked, about everything they hadn't said before. About grief, and guilt, and missed birthdays. About dreams, regrets, and the possibility of starting over. There were no promises. No declarations. Just the simple, fragile act of 2 people trying again. A week later, Derek's contract ended. He packed up his things, unsure if he'd return to San Diego or stay. Rachel came by his temporary apartment that morning. She stood in the doorway barefoot again, wearing that same t-shirt, the one that had once been his. I was thinking, she said, maybe we don't rush anything. He nodded. I'm okay with that. But maybe, she continued, we see what happens if we don't run from it this time. He reached for her hand. We don't run, he said. And for the first time in a long time, she smiled. They took it slow. Dinner once a week. Long phone calls. Occasional weekends together. It wasn't a fairy tale, but it was real. And sometimes, real was enough. Because sometimes, when the door opens again, even barefoot and cautious, it means there's still something worth saving on the other side. And this time, neither of them was walking away.